Hey everyone, welcome to our Financials for Office 365 webinar. Firstly, thank you all for attending. We do appreciate your time. This session should go for about 45 minutes and we'll do our best to finish on time and go from there. So what it's about is Financials for Office 365 version 4.0. Today we'll be presenting the new capabilities being introduced on our latest release. And everything you see here today will be released in the Lite and Standard edition. And at the end of the webinar, we'll tell you when version 4 is available for new and existing customers. A bit of an introduction. My name's Steve Chaseling. I'm one of the product specialists here and I help with the partner support. And today you'll also hear from our other product guru, Chris McKenzie, who's going to be demonstrating the solution and take you through some of the new features that are coming out in Financials version 4.0. I was talking to Chris earlier about my friend Emma, who owns her own catering company. She was telling me that when she makes sales, she has to wait till she gets back into the office to actually record it. She's also been using Excel to account for her inventory, and she thought that that was all that Microsoft could do. When I spoke to her about financials and all of the powerful integrations with Office 365, she got worried about the idea of developers and developers' costs. I'm talking about this now as I feel like today's webinar will be relevant to her problems and concerns, and hopefully everyone listening today doesn't have those problems, but if you do, then maybe today's webinar will show you how we can help solve the issues that you may have within your own business. Needless to say, I think I'll be sending her this recording today, Chris. And if there's anyone else out there who, that couldn't attend today, just let us know and we'll send you the link.
Thank you very much, Stephen, and good afternoon, everybody. My name is Christopher McKenzie, as Stephen said, and I am a product specialist here at Financials as well as that I am the partner education lead. So today, I think that story that Stephen just took us through and also he took me through a bit earlier on today is really relevant. We've kind of done it a little bit on the fly. And that's because, for one, the problems that she is facing, a lot of the prospects we come across are she's using a manual process to account for something that's not in her accounting software. In this case, inventory management. We come across multiple companies, project accounting. It's something that they need, but they're not in their accounting software. So there's that. There's the idea of Microsoft, so there's a bit of a bias there, but there's also the idea of a developer's cost that comes with getting your ERP. So for one, accounting software is not ERP, we want to stress that, but we want to show you, and potentially at the end of the day, Emma, how Financials for Office 365 has been providing this, but aims to provide this better version 4.0. So, if you've ever been in a demonstration with myself, Stephen, or any one of the pre-sale staff here, you would have been exposed to this slide. You would have seen powerful functionalities described from our Microsoft engine, the scalability that we try and provide the SMB space through our multiple offerings and editions, Lite Edition, Standard Edition, Premium Edition, but also all the features that come with those various offerings. Being able to match someone's requirements and where they are and scale up as their business grows. But as well as that, you would have heard about how we try and make it easy to use, how it's easy to set up, easy to get up and running through an idea that we've introduced called the Flash implementation. But we're not here to talk about that today. I'm not giving you a demonstration. What we're going to do today is to talk about 4 key aspects within our new release, version 4.0, and how they really try to complement these 3 benefits of using Financials. So we're going to talk about an enhancement through Microsoft, how Microsoft is now trying to make it so it's really what I believe to call one complete business solution. We'll talk about the makeover of our UI, basically how we try to make it simpler for someone to use. We've introduced a couple of role centers that we believe were needed earlier on. Version 3 had the functionality, but it didn't illustrate it as best it could. And as well as that, we're going to go through the idea of the new possibilities in automation. As you might understand, a lot of people understand that Standard Edition is everything out of the box, while Premium is if you need customizations. So we're going to show you the new ways that Microsoft and Financials for Office 365 are trying to allow for people to stay out of the box and stay in our Standard Edition. Now, needless to say, this isn't our first webinar. So what we've done in the past is really relevant, but today all you have to see is the content, and you can go watch these webinars later, unless you've already seen them. So last year, Alvin Valdez, our partner manager, and I down at Microsoft, we gave a webinar on the enhanced finance, seamless connections, and mobile ease of use that came with version 3.0. And Mr. Stephen Chase and I, a month ago, we gave a webinar on the introduction to financials for Office 365, trying to give you a general look and feel of financials. We went through the Role Center, which is a landing dashboard. It gives you a clear illustration of your workload, your priorities, and also your business performance. A little bit of insight through dashboard reporting. But we also went through ideas like dimensional tagging. We mention it constantly. It's something that not everyone knows about. Its whole aim is to complement your financial reporting, but not make it a more manual process. There is a video that goes through this a bit more specifically in our YouTube channel called Introduction to Dimensions. And lastly, we went through the whole idea of one complete solution. We showed how Microsoft programs complement financials for Office 365, but we're not relying on them. Financials is a standalone offering. We are complemented by the Microsoft program and the Office 365 suite, but we're not relying on them. So please feel free to go to our website, or even go to any one of the sales representatives you know and ask for these videos if you haven't seen them. They are on YouTube, but they're not public. They're for people that are more interested. So, back onto today. What are we going to go through? We do have quite a list. So we're going to go through the new Role Center for sales and relationship managers. We're going to go through the new user experience, Outlook integration, which is something that people have been really asking for, Outlook for financials, Cortana intelligence, smart notifications, custom word layouts, both documents and email templates. I'm talking quite fast now. Project management and assisted setup within our Light Edition. This idea that you might have seen from Office 365, PowerApps and Microsoft Flow, as well as what's next for financials.
So Chris, do you think everyone's going to be able to remember all of that? I mean, it's a lot of features to take in.
It is. To tell the truth, I do talk quite fast, and it can be lost. So what we're going to do today is we're going to introduce you to 3 members of our demo databases company, Cronus International. Now, Cronus International is a furniture distribution company that also provides the service to actually set up your office space for you. Today, we're going to be looking at Philippa, the salesperson, who needs to be out on the road and really needs a mobile solution. Frank, her regional manager. Now, while he handles the accounts, the reporting, as well as does a bit of approvals, he still needs better insight into how the accounting and inventory is going for Cronus International. So we'll have a look at how some key offerings within that earlier list help him out. And Carol, dear Carol. So earlier feedback that financials and Microsoft got was that the job costing module had a lot of comprehensive capability, but it didn't have a dashboard that could easily represent what they were saying. And they said that Microsoft terminology was getting in the way of people being able to understand the module. Carol's going to show us today how financials and Microsoft has reacted to that feedback, given a new dashboard, and given cleaner illustrations of the job costing module within financials. But first we're going to start off with Philippa. So that's a lot to take in. Let's set you with the actual scenario today. So Philippa is a salesperson. She's going out on site to meet up with Mark, a contact from her customer, the Salgorian Group. She's going to show us how the internal CRM, or what we call the base CRM within financials, can allow her to track her interactions, opportunities. There is campaign management as well as segmentation and mail group management in there as well. But we're going to focus on the key aspects of her being mobile today. She's going to have a chat with Mark, receive an email, and then basically be able to react to that email. And using financials and using our feature there within financials, from Outlook for financials. Frank's then going to be able to react to her sales quote that she's then generated, be able to get a bit of insight into the business and the specific context for that sale, as well as just in general. And then Carol is going to react to the request for an actual quote on how it's going to cost to set it all up. So that's going to really show off just how simple the job costing module can be. So let's begin. What you're seeing here is what we call the Sales and Relationship Role Center. This is using the base CRM within financials, and the whole concept here is that it's made to use in a tablet form or a phone form. I can see my opportunities, some graphs showing my top 5 opportunities. And on the left-hand side here, I still have my navigation pane and my ribbon, giving us a clear illustration of how I can create opportunities, interactions, even adjust the sales prices. So, got a lot of overdue sales documents, but let's go into our opportunity that's due in 7 days. So, I can show the opportunity card, and right in here I can see that it's up to its second sales cycle. I can see who the contact is and the company. I can even see if we have a certain percentage of success and what the estimated value is and how that progresses with our sales cycle. Now, sales cycles can be set up beforehand, and it basically dictates how you're going to manage your opportunities. Right here in the ribbon, I can see that I can assign a sales quote, update this opportunity, even close it. Now, it's important to note that we've even now removed the wizard that used to be within the internal CRM of financials. We understood that it was aimed to make life easier, but Microsoft kind of recognized that when you're using the base CRM within financials, you don't want it to be easy. You want it to be quick and get the information across. Salespeople have to do what they need to do. So right now, I could even close this opportunity. And right here, we can see that I can change it as won and lost, and that it's already included reasons why I may have won it, as well as the reasons why I may have lost it. So Philippa right now doesn't have to type in anything. She simply uses touchscreen capability to show that to you. Of course, we're using an emulator, so my mouse is my finger, but same thing. We can even create the interaction. So right now, she's going to meet up with Mark on site, see them over at the Salgorian group, and basically be able to account for that straight away. On-site meeting, that's simple. If I want to include more detail, I can, but it's just that straightforward. And there we go. Another interaction is incorporated. So now that I'm on-site, Philippa has to be able to communicate our information very clearly. So this is a new feature we've introduced. This is what we call the new user experience. Right here in the tablet experience, you're seeing the item list. So she's going to talk about our various furniture. It could be even food groups or anything. A salesperson on the road wants to be able to show their customers what we're talking about. So even though we still have the ease of navigation, being able to search, bring up the items we're looking for based on any one of the columns, we now have what we call the slideshow view and the tile view. So I can see a picture of these actual items as well as their price, their available quantity, and its base unit of measure. And if I remove the filter, straight away it then brings up the whole list. So it's still easy to navigate through my items, and right now I'm just showing Mark what items he can get for his office. It's that simple. I still have the ribbon, being able to account for the inventory journals, being able to account for new features such as attributes. I'll dive down into that a little bit more later. Even if I open up one of these cards here, let's say the Antwerp conference table. What this will do is this will bring up the new card layout that we have. So right here, we now have a picture included in the fact box. You might even be noticing that the actual fast tabs on the right-hand side there aren't what they used to be. They've now been segmented and made simpler to view, and we can see the quantities that are live still. So we have 19 of this item still on either sales orders, and we have an available amount of 19. Also on the right-hand side there where my mouse is, you can see that we have what we call item attributes. This is a new way to expand and standardize the functionality that Financials brought in version 3.0 through our user-definable fields. You'll be able to search by those item attributes and get down into detail about what we need to do. So I'm going to edit this now, and before I leave, I'm going to get some insight. So I can still see the contact card of both Mark and Salgorian, the company. Now, Salgorian, the company's contact card, isn't the same as their customer card. It's more specifically aimed at the base CRM. I can view all the opportunities we have here. Let's drill down. Right there, we have the new layout that we have. We still have the customer statistics, but it's made for the internal CRM aspect. So it's not on their billables. It's more on their costs, their actual opportunities that we have and the estimated value this contact has with us, and all of the business relationships, job responsibilities, and industry groups you might want to segment a contact by. Still, the ribbon is just available and you can easily just bring it up. I know we're going through a lot now, but what we're going to do is really try and do something on the fly. With this opportunity, we're now going to go forward and try and create a quote. All I have to do is go assign sales quote, and this will gather the contact information from the Salesgorian group and from Mark. It's going to now populate my sales quote and basically make it that I can just react straight away. So all that information is still there in the general files tab. You can see on the right-hand side that we still have all our fact boxes too. It's made nice and visible. So I can grab an item, I can type in its number or description, and it automatically populates. That's important for a tablet device. The moment I enter in the quantity, I'm going to get what we call notifications about this, but it's also going to account for the actual item availability of that specific offering. Even if I touch the actual class tab there, the little ellipsis button, it's going to bring up my entire inventory. I can search for it here. So Steve, what we're really seeing here is the mobile aspect of financials now. We've been able to give them 30 swivel chairs plus 6 conference tables. Now straight away, I could make this as an order, I could make this into an invoice even, and skip the order process. Or we simply go ahead and we can make this into an email. So I'm not going back to the office and emailing them, I'm simply going, let's create a sales quote right now and send it off. I'll include their information or just email it off later. So that's just giving you a glimpse of what we've expanded in that functionality. Now we're back to the CRM.
So really what you're saying, Chris, is that Microsoft have provided a new role center to represent the simplified CRM that is within financials.
Yes, the base CRM.
We've also just seen how we can handle opportunities, interactions, and how we remove the wizard so you can just click once and your account activity is all there. Simple and quick, and this role center has been specifically designed for the tablet and phone experience. And the other role centers still work well within the mobile app, but this one has been specifically designed knowing that salespeople are on the road. You've even showed us how Financials has worked to update the user experience with multiple views of our list pages and more relevant information within a card and the fact boxes. Yet the layout still seems clean and uncluttered, making it still easy to use.
It's a very good point there. So the fact that it's now been made so that we can easily see this information while still have great insight into what we're doing is important. So what I'm going to do now for everyone is I'm going to hop into Philippa's email, and I'm going to show you Outlook for Financials. So within our Introduction to Financials webinar, what we did was we showed this within the Outlook client. The whole idea there is that we had a simple quote that we received from a customer, and we created a purchase invoice within the Outlook client for that customer. What we're going to do today is we're going to react to an email we get, because you know that sometimes customers change their minds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up my Outlook experience, there we are, and bring it up for you. So here's my Outlook mail from Office 365. Basically found out that we had a good time with Mark today. He was happy to see us. And also that Philippa has given him a quote for these specific items. But he's also looking for additional items added to his sales quote. As well as that, we're even now looking into the idea of coming on site and creating a quote for Cronus to set up the workspaces. Now, we could, right here and now, create an event because it's recognizing that he's asking us to come on site. But what we're going to do is we're going to use what we call contact insights. This takes the contact information that we have here within our Office 365 and it connects that to the contact within CRM, within Financial, sorry. Now, it's important to note that what we see here within our contact insights, that is available to be synchronized with Office 365 and Financials. Very good. Let's load up the email. Now, as well as that, we can even have it that any email you send from financials will lodge within your Office 365. Before we saw that we sent an email directly from financials, and this is the email that we've gotten back from that. The email that we sent can be lodged within your Office 365, so you're not simply sending out information and being disconnected. So what we're going to use here is we're going to use the open boxes from the financials contact insights. It's important to note that, like we said before, still available within your Outlook. And what we're going to do now is going to read all of the contact and customer information we've connected to Mark MacArthur from admin Selgorian. Now it's important to note, and this is a prerequisite, you need an Exchange Online installed on your Outlook to use it within the Outlook client. And what we're going to do now is we're going to load it up. But as well as that, it's going to be looking at two separate things. Our contact information here, and we can even bring it up in another tab. It's important to note that we understand there's only certain real estate available for people, and this is what they get. So straight away we see the customer information, the aged accounts receivable, sales history, and customer statistics. We can drill down onto any one of these. The whole idea is that the information is nice and clear for you to use. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move into that ongoing sales quote that we just created within the tablet experience of financials for Office 365. All we have to do now is select the additional lines, choose them as an item, and throw in those additional features there. So, Stephen, what are we seeing now that's different, do you think, than what we saw last week?
Well, I know we demonstrated this last time, but I'm really getting the full picture now. For those of us that weren't here about a month ago, we actually demonstrated how this works in the downloadable version of Outlook. So here we've got an email and created a sales quote using the contact insights. But as you've seen today, we've also used Office 365 Mail within the browser to fully view all of the client's information and change an already existing quote. All of this, and we haven't even got back to the office yet, Chris.
Exactly. So what we're going to do now is, because that I've set it up, that I'm going to have it as released, I'm going to undo this. And you can see the status is now released within our CRM. What we can do is further edit, but what I want to do now is to basically provide these additional items to Mark within our job quote. So I'll email him about that, and I will be able to even add additional features within the actual pop-up box here. Now, it's important to note that our ribbon is still available to us. I could send this back to him by email. I could ask and send approval, but we're not focusing on that today. We're just going to focus on the fact that we have financials within Office 365. So that's just a quick glimpse. We've talked about the fact that there is Office 365 and the Outlook client and the idea of contact insights. So what has really Philip has shown us? For one, we've seen the sales and relationship role center, the new user experience, which you're still going to see more of, and Office 365 integration. Now, let's move to Frank.
So Frank is going to show us how we can take the information that Philip has generated on the road back into the office, and how we can gain insight from not only just using the program the same way people in version 3.0 have, but also how we've also made the process simpler and a bit more dynamic. So let's hop into Frank's role center. So here you see Frank works in the General Manager role center. Most of you would have seen this as the Financial Standard Manager within version 3.0. He still has all his activities, the ability to see financial performance and sales performance, as well as his report inbox. What we can also see from those activity tiles here is that we have a release sales quote, and that is the one that Philippa created on the road. Now, just as we mentioned while Philippa was working before, she has the ability to actually send this for an approval request, but we mentioned that in version 3, so that's not necessary today. What we're going to do now is make this quote into an order, because let's say she got approved. And there you go, the sales quote to Selgorian and Mark has become an order, and a lot more things start coming into recognition now. So we can see through this little notification section here that we can expand, and drill down on that Selgorian have an overdue balance with Cronus International. So right here we can see not only the details of that, but we can even open up the customer card, run a report. It really gives us a lot more functionality than what we had within the actual notifications we used to get within version 3.0. Even the inventory now, they're popping up. We can see our inventory now and see what the available amounts are at our current location. And this allows us to, for one, get insight into item availability. So it takes that inventory management that Emma needed, and it basically makes it that she's now being alerted by this information. Right now, if you've ever used version 3, you know you can view item availability by location, by period, by event, even by a graphical representation through timeline. What we can do now is we can even drill down into the item card itself. You can see here that we're still viewing the item the same way as we always have, but if we go to the view, we can see the new things that have been added to the item card. For one, the fast tabs that we all know and love have now been made a bit more straightforward. We've got our price and posting within there, as well as all the inventory aspects included. So now we can see it in a specific section, what the inventory level is for this item, how much are on purchase orders, sales orders, also what we're including in regards to stock out warnings, and if we want to make this specific item prevented from negative inventory. On the right hand side though, you can see something very striking there, can't you, Steve?
That's right.
So we've got ourselves the picture that we saw before within the Tableau experience, as well as what we call item attributes. This allows us to have user-definable attributes of an item represented within the program that you can then filter down on and group items by, allowing you to really have a lot more functionality and detail. What we've also got here is the forecast. So this shows us the actual sales forecast in the system based on Cortana intelligence. When we get to the summary and I have some graphs to actually show me what I'm talking about, we might get into that a bit more detailed. Now, we reviewed the customer information, we've reviewed the item information now for this order. Let's send an order confirmation. So you would have been used to be able to print off an order confirmation, have it produced in PDF, Word or Excel, and then email it to the customer. What we've enabled through version 4.0 is the ability to just click like so, and you can see here that we can post and send or even email confirmation. Now if I select email confirmation, this shows us the actual layout of the message that we're going to use now. This is a new feature, and this layout is based on Microsoft Word functionality. So just what we're able to do with the report layouts, we're now able to do with email templates after getting customer feedback on this topic. We'd be able to send this out and accomplish all that right away, and we're still in the standard offering of financials.
Slow down, Chris. Let's break down what you've just shown us. You've shown us how Smart Notifications takes what's already worked within financials, such as overdue balances, inventory levels, and something you didn't even show us, posting outside the fiscal year.
That's important.
These notifications read where the user is and subtly provide them insight. Something that's just as important though is that you pointed out that they can determine what notifications are relevant for them.
That's a very good point, Steve. So just like the actual layouts of list pages where you can choose what columns you're seeing, so it's relevant for you, we're now able to make sure that notifications that you receive in the program are relevant based on customer feedback. That allows it that if you don't want to see when a customer exceeds their credit limit, it won't show up to you because that's not relevant for you. So this now makes our smart notifications relevant to the user.
You also talked about Cortana intelligence. What is that?
Well, that's a good question. No one kind of knows. Cortana intelligence is machine learning. So basically taking in the historical data that you have within the Microsoft Azure, so the cloud storage space, and it's able to get insight into your business from this transactional information. Cortana takes that intelligence and it basically converges it to be relevant for what you're doing. So in the system, you can run forecasts for sales and inventory. You can even apply them to your cash flow so that you're getting... So to get a bit more of an understanding of Cortana intelligence, we're going to do another webinar down the track. It's going to go into detail about Azure machine learning, and as well as that, Azure Active Directories. These are the prerequisites to have Cortana intelligence. Now, the Azure Active Directory even allows you to insert Power BI dashboards within your actual role center. So even what we saw in version 3.0 is now extended, so it's going to be part of your system.
So Chris, there was one last thing that looked new here. How you emailed that invoice looked different than in version 3.
That's a very good point, and we did touch on that a little bit, but let's summarize. So, the functionality that Financials has to be able to create a custom Word layout or even customer-specific layout using Microsoft Word has been extended. So, one thing that we didn't show you, you can now have vendor-specific layouts. So we put it on both sides of the aisle. But as well as that, it can now be extended in the actual email templates. So your email messages can be templated, feed in information, same way as you did within the Microsoft Word reports. The importance about this is now you can have customer-specific messaging in your emails, and you still don't require a developer to produce it. The whole point of this is that you can do it yourself at no added cost.
Geez, that's a lot, Chris. I think we'd better summarize this before everyone forgets. So we've discussed Cortana Intelligence, but we also saw the smart notifications, and that gives Frank better insight into his business. So not only does he have financial accounting and inventory management, but both modules have been made smart to make him look better. And we've taken away another cost for our customer from development by expanding our custom word layout functionality to even work within emails. Hopefully that's helped Frank in his day-to-day.
All he was doing was basically looking at a quote, creating as an order, and sending out the confirmation to the customer. But from that, he was able to understand a lot more about the business and a lot more about the actual situation that sale had. So next is Carol, our project manager. Carol is a project manager within the Kronos International company. And what she does is manage the budgets, forecasts, and the actual operations within each one of these jobs. The job costing module within Financials for Office 365 aims to be able to give you clear insight into the accounting behind your projects, but it also is fully integrated with our accounts receivable and payable module. So what this new role center that Carol has, so earlier in Philippa's email, you saw she had a request to see how much it would cost for Kronos International to set up the workspaces for Mark and the Selgorian group. What we're going to do now is hop into the Project Manager Role Center and find out just that. So right here what you see is the new layout of our Project Manager Role Center. This gives us activity tiles that are specifically designed to work with the aspect that she's managing the accounts receivable and payable specific to her projects. You can even see here that with the down arrow next to the activities tile, that we can even choose what's relevant for us to see as a project manager. She can even manage timesheets that are incorporated with the job costing and their approvals. As well as that, we now have our jobs being illustrated specifically that she is the project manager for in the role center. She can see their status, the bill to customer, even the percentage completed and invoiced. And lastly, something that was greatly requested by our customers is dashboard reporting. She can see actual to budget comparisons between cost and price, as well as the job profitability live from her projects. Even the RIP has been modified. We are able to create a job now, and it uses a job wizard to basically walk you through the steps, making it easier. Even create timesheets and do the job closing for WIP right here. And all job reports are made to be just simpler for her to grab. The navigation pane too has been modified so that it is more tailored to show us what we're looking for. Right here in the job section, we have different categories that our jobs can fall into, giving us easier navigation. So let's hop into a job. If I open our job list here, we can see that you have a couple templates as well as live examples that are currently open. What we're going to do is we're going to take this template for setting up 8 workspace areas as they requested, and we're going to copy that over. As you can see, we can now specify the details of how we copy, and we can create a new job right here and now. So you don't even have to create new, because as we know from version 3.0, every job in regards to its task lines and plan lines is a template. We can choose to bring over the budgeting lines from this earlier job, or we can bring over the billable, or both. Even choose the period that we're bringing over these lines from, or the sections. And naturally, we can choose to include the prices, quantity, and dimensions. So now that we have this template copied over, we can move it from planning to quote in its status. This allows us to create a job quote. Now this is basically providing people what they've been asking for, the ability to grab the lines from a job and be able to provide this as a quote to our customers. So they can approve, and we can move to the order or open status now, where we're actually accounting for consumption and invoicing our customer and processing our purchase orders. So we can either preview this job quote or send it via email, exactly like before. Let's preview and print. And there you have it. We can even segment how much of this job we're grabbing for the quote. Now, this is the default layout that's within Financials for Office 365, but just like your sales quotes, you can customize the layout of this job quote within Microsoft Word. So let's send that to Mark, and our project is out for approval, just as people need it to be. So these are just a taste of some of the new things available within our Project Manager Role Center and the job costing module. If you want to see more, please watch our introduction to job costing within Financials for Office 365. This video is showing the version 4.0 features within the program.
Well, I know I'm only new here, Chris, but I can see how that would really help. So we've just seen how the new Project Manager Role Center takes the dynamic functionality from our job costing module and gives you a clearer perspective of what you have to do. Even the job quote that you've just generated works great, and we now have dashboard reporting like everyone's been asking for.
It has been a popular request, and it also illustrates how feedback is turned into functionality within Financials for Office 365. Give us some time to take your feedback, put it in our product dev list, even feed it back to Microsoft, and here you have it.
So Chris, what are PowerApps and Microsoft Flow?
Now that's a very good question, and it's one that we've been receiving a lot, and it's now a feature available within Financials version 4.0. Now you might have noticed within your Office 365, if we load it up, there we go, that there are two new tiles that are included. Microsoft has been advertising PowerApps and Microsoft Flow, but no one's not too sure about what exactly they are now. So if I hop in here, I'll be able to describe it to you. 1, 2, 3. So if we hop in here, we can have a look at what's new. 1, 2, 3. What's in PowerApps and Microsoft Flow.
Now what these aim to do is to provide the functionality to be able to design your own apps without writing a single line of code. The whole idea here is that you would design it the exact same way you would design a PowerPoint. This will allow you to avoid customizing your solution for yourself and be able to make unique functionality. So just as you would, you can generate something like this, which is an app for inspecting specific sites. We go to the Contoso buildings, have a look, see how they are. The whole idea is that we would design this the exact same way as you would a PowerPoint, but it uses both the Microsoft programs and it connects to any solution so that you have the intuitive information. Right here we have Asset Checkout app that's actually taking into account the inventory we have at those locations. But being able to design custom functionality, make it look for the PC, tablet, or phone device is step one. Step 2 is through Microsoft Flow. So while PowerApps gives us the customizable functionality by designing an app, Microsoft Flow gives us that automation. It'll connect your apps as well as internal and external functions from the Microsoft suite to each other. So this is how we get that automation.
Great, well hopefully everyone that has Office 365 now understands what those two tiles actually are. So to summarize what we've seen, we've seen two role centers, the new user experience, how Financials works within Outlook, what Chris meant when he said smart accounting.
Intelligent accounting, I've got to stop you there.
And how we're using Microsoft Word even more, alongside PowerApps and Microsoft Flow, so that our customers don't need developers and they can do it themselves, all within Standard Edition.
Now you've touched on a very good point there, the fact that this is all Standard Edition.
So everything we've seen so far, the makeover of the UI, enhancement through Microsoft, intelligent accounting, and new possibilities in automation, are all still standard edition in version 4.0. So what we're going to do now is we're going to give you a quick glimpse at what we've also introduced within the Lite edition. So what we've done here is we've taken the role center that everyone has probably seen one of our videos here or there, and we've added in a new key aspect to make it easier to get up and running for someone that wanted to use Lite edition. The whole idea of Lite edition is that it's a startup business. You get up and running instantly. So here is our Business Manager Role Center. And within the ribbon, you still have a simplified look. You have a simplified aspect within the navigation pane, but we also now have what we call Assisted Setup. This allows it to template the way you set up the business. First, you enter your company information, then you migrate your master data records through Migrate Business Data. You can set up a cash flow forecast, you set up your workflows, even your email lodging, and Outlook for financials that we talked about earlier. So that integration is actually available in Lite edition too. You can then set up reporting through Power BI, more approvals, and as well as that, you can even set up a connection to Dynamics CRM or Dynamics CRM 365. Getting lost in the words there. Dynamics 365 for sales. That's still available within our Lite edition. Now, while that'll help you guide yourself while setting up Lite edition, we've extended the functionality, pun intended, with the financials apps. So this is how we introduce new functionality into the program for our Lite and standard customers. Those of you that have used financials before will be familiar with the financials EFT and landed cost modules. They're key functionality that we've always thought makes the program more suitable for the SMB space. And if you've been keeping your ear to the floor and hearing a couple rumblings, you'll hear about Financials Fresh, which is our first industry vertical aimed at providing, for one, a bit more of specific and industry-specific functionality within Financials for Office 365. But now I know that everyone that's been listening has heard about Financials Payroll. So just to answer all the questions that we're probably going to get, Financials Payroll is being released in June this year, but as well as that, other things like bank feeds will be released as well. Now, Financials Payroll will be invoiced on top of financials, but it's going to be in blocks, so based on how many employees you have, and the idea still is that it's aimed at the SMB space. So it's not going to be enterprise level pricing. Other thing to look out for is that sales and inventory forecast that we talked about using Cortana Intelligence. We'll do another webinar on that later. And as well as that, the possibility of functionality, having a PayPal integration for your payments. Being able to have a little link on your invoices that allows them to open it up in payroll. Now these are all things that we're going to be offering to you. Another thing to be looking out for is Financials Housing, the second industry vertical app that Financials will be releasing. To see if there are any more questions, you'll see that we have the Star Trek emblem there. That's a little inside joke for anyone that attended the intro webinar of Financials for Office 365.
Good stuff, Chris. Going back to the example of my friend Emma, I can really see how this truly mobile solution is going to benefit her. It's giving her the ability to do more and go anywhere. With full control of her inventory management and insight using Cortana Intelligence to plan, this is going to give Emma that greater clarity so she knows exactly what she needs for her events. And she's now taking her knowledge of Excel, while basic, and making it matter within Financials for Office 365. So we're really trying to get the ease of use component right for people like Emma, so there's more time to focus on catering for her customers. The newest version really gives this opportunity with the familiar layout she's already used to in programs such as Excel. And best of all, she's still able to do all of this out of the box, which is where the world is heading. I've only been here 2 months now, but even now I'm seeing that blown up ERP implementations are a thing of the past.
So thank you all for your time today, for going through this journey with us. We understand that 45 minutes is a long task of time. Just so you know, the pre-sales team within Financials won't be doing a webinar next month. I know we've committed to do a webinar every month, but we're going to be releasing, and Stephen's smiling at me right now because it's the whole pre-sales team that will be doing this, 50 new videos. Those 50 how-to videos will be visible on the website, and they'll be showing off version 4.0 within our release. So, thank you, Stephen.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, everyone, for attending, and we hope you enjoyed today, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.